GingerGM.
So I think for a change, I'm going to do something a little bit different, just to spice things up. So I'm actually, someone asked for this the other day. Now, I'm a big Dutch defense player, and I played this last weekend, F4, and I think it's actually quite an underrated move, the so-called birds opening. The idea of this opening is to play a reverse Dutch, my favourite opening, but you have an extra tempo. So, you know, for me, I'm most famous for the Dutch opening. When I play against 1d4, I play 1f5. So okay, so now this is very interesting. Now, one of the reasons after f4, well, one of the reasons a lot of people don't play the move f4 is actually because of this move e5, and this is the so-called From's Gambit, the From's Gambit, and this is a very dangerous gambit. Now, there's two choices here. Choice number one is to grab the pawn on e5, and then we're going to get a very exciting, we set the gambit. The other choice is, if you do like the King's Gambit, you can now play e4 and get into a King's Gambit. So, you know, this is often a good move if you know your opponent is not someone who will be ready for the King's Gambit. Now, I don't know Aldo's opening repertoire, so I don't know if he's prepared for the King's Gambit or not. What do you guys want? Shall I be the Gambiteer and play a Gambit, or shall I take the Gambit and be the grabber of material? Let me know in the chat what you'd like me to do, and you know, I know I'm spending a lot of time here, but let's play the King's Gambit. Okay, we have Alex wanting a King's Gambit. Go, be the Gambiteer, and it's more my style to play in this way. Disrespect him. I'm not disrespecting him, side chess dealer. I like Aldo a lot. Forget about his rating. Like I said, Aldo's about 2200. So now Aldo's playing the Albion counter gambit, and I have to say, this is probably, in my opinion, the best way to respond to the King's Gambit. Again, Aldo is saying, I'm not going to take your pawn. I actually expected this one. I'm going to really I'm going to give the pawn. I don't want you to have the initiative. I want to have the initiative. Now, the best move here, there's a trick here. If I take on e5, then queen h4 check wins immediately. A very well-known trick. g3, queen takes e4, winning the rook on h1, and I can resign. So I have to take on d5. This is all theory, so I'm going to play this one now. But I have to admit, if you're not sure what to do against King's Gambit, this line, which Aldo is playing, is a very good line. Now, the way I play this, I don't want to allow this check here now, because I haven't got g3. So I'm going to go knight to f3. I'm going to stop this check. Aldo now playing a line which I'm trying to remember, but it's been a while since I've had this one. So this is not the main move. Now, I'm thinking naturally, okay, if you're out of your theory, I mean, my memory's not so good anymore, but it doesn't matter. I normally go for instincts, and already I need to think here. If I'm out of theory, I want to castle quickly. This is what I want to do. So I need to move my bishop. My bishop either should go to one of these two squares. I either defend the pawn, or I give a check on this square. Now, I'm thinking I'm just going to put it on c4, because if I check, my Aldo can play c6, open up the position, and I might be a little bit behind in development. So even though I can't remember the theory, I'm just going to aim to castle quickly. Now, if I castle here, he can take on d5. My bishop will have to take. It looks more natural for my knight to try and take that pawn, bring my knight into the center of the board. So I'm gonna develop. I'm just gonna play some normal moves, develop a piece. Now, I could also have considered actually thinking about it, a check there. The funny thing is, in the King's Gambit, if you do win the pawn back, the endings are often quite good. Now, my Aldo is playing he's blocking the check. He's developing a piece. He's getting ready to castle. Now, if I castle here, I have to watch out for pawn takes pawn, knight takes pawn, knight takes pawn, bishop takes pawn, and then bishop c5 check, releasing the queen on d5. It's a little bit tactical, this. You know, I have to be aware. So I want to kind of block up any check on this diagonal. So thank you, Bigfoot, for subscribing. Cheers, boss. the boss. And Bigfoot, if you haven't checked out Bigfoot's channel himself, go and check it out. It's a darn cool channel. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm thinking, I think I want to play d4 just to get my bishop ready to rock and roll. Am I worried about his knight ever coming into this square? Don't think so. Or do I just take this stupid pawn off the board? I'm actually thinking maybe I'll just take this pawn, because okay, I allow his piece to come in the game quickly, but I can castle without a threat. You know what? I'm just going to take this one, because I'm also thinking with Aldo's knight on e7, I think in these positions his knight's normally on f6. So when your opponent puts a piece in a different square to what you expect, try to think what the disadvantages of that are. Now I am going to castle here, and I'm thinking a disadvantage is I might have a knight g5 starting an attack, because let's say he castles. I can certainly consider, I could have considered last move knight g5, but I can certainly now consider this move at some point, because if I can combine these two moves, if I get two moves in, this will be pretty much very, very, very dangerous for my opponents. Get the knight in, flick that one in, flick the queen in, checkmate, wham, bam, thank you, Aldo, my man. And hello again to Bigfoot. Yeah, I mean, there's so many good streamers now on chess.com. I mean, I like Bigfoot. I love this Chess Sam. You know, I mean, it's just like, you know, it's cool that we've got such a good community going here. But oh, hello, what happened there? So but I have to think, if I go knight g5, Aldo will probably play h6. So I got to just do a little bit of tactics here. And after h6, if I take on f7, a rook takes f7. So this is, you know, before you enter into tactics, you've got to work out if they're good or bad. If they're bad, you don't enter into them, you know. But so you just got to calculate. You should know the common ideas, but then you need to work out, are they good or are they bad? So I'm thinking knight here, h6, knight takes here, rook takes, and I can't really see a way to follow that up. I mean, two pieces. I don't want to give these two pieces up for a rook and a pawn. The two pieces are much better earlier on in the game. The rook comes better later on in the game. So I'm thinking, okay, knight here, h6, I'm not really doing much there. So d4 is very natural. If I go d4, I'm slightly concerned about the knight coming into e3. That's annoying. So I'm sort of intrigued what I should be doing here. Now I'm thinking a bit more aggressive. What about knight e4? Because I'm bringing another piece towards Aldo's king, and in some positions I'm getting rid of the bishop. And I'm not committing to d4, so I'm not really allowing the knight pop it in here. Knight e4 looks very interesting at the moment. I mean, either d4 or knight e4, play some normal moves, but I'm playing quite slowly, so I need to hurry up. So I think I'm going to go for knight to e4 at this moment, because it gives me ideas of maybe, you know, maybe now if I get a knight to this square, h6, queen h5, I might be able to sack a piece, something like that. For example, let's say knight to f5. I'm really thinking if knight to f5, knight g5. So try to follow this. I'm just talking out loud. This is the way you should be thinking during a game. Knight here, and then if h6 attacking my knight, can I then play queen into h5? So that was what I was thinking, considering there. Okay, so Aldo stepped back with his bishop. He's trying to keep hold of that piece. And now if I throw this knight in, I have to watch out for a queen d4 check. Don't want to allow that one, because that will pick up my bishop unless there's some. So what I'm relying on tactically here is knight g5. This is what I really love to play. I'm always looking at the most aggressive solution, knight, queen, but I'm spending a lot of time. So let's just check. Knight here, check. King here, takes here, queen here, h6. No, it's not working. I need to either go here when I must watch out for this knight coming in here, or I mean, okay, I'm going to play d4. I think it's time, because very quickly this bishop is not doing anything anyway. So if he does go knight f5 and he does go knight e3, what the hell? I'm going to whip off that knight and get rid of it for my bishop, which is not developed. And I'd rather put a pawn in the center of the board than put a pawn on d3. I don't really want to put a pawn on d3. So Aldo very naturally now developed. So I have to give up my idea of knight g5. And now d4 is a problem. This pawn is a problem. He's attacking it via the pin. So I have to maintain it with the move c3. So I've got to change plans now. knight g5 is not working. I don't know if I had an opportunity to play it, but when your time, you've got to have time management. When your time is ticking down, you often have to speed up a little bit. So hence what I'm doing now. I have got a good center, but I need to formulate a plan. A bad plan is better than no plan. And now that my knight's not coming here with some deadly attack, what other plans do I have? What other plans may include knight f2. I mean, what are my opponent's weaknesses? When you're trying to formulate a plan, you have to find out where is your opponent weak. Always have that in mind. And I'm thinking the pawn on f4 is a double pawn. It could be weak. If my opponent ever has to defend it with g5, just say he ever plays that, then he weakens his king. So I'm thinking, how do I increase the pressure on this pawn? Number one, I try to move this knight very hard as it's pinned. Number two, I could go knight f2, trying to attack the bishop. If the bishop moves, I could then move my knight to d3. So my knight on e4 may look good, but in actual fact, what's it actually doing? Not much. So I could go knight f2, knight d3, and with a knight on d3, I'm increasing the pressure on this pawn. So Aldo has actually gone now to this square to defend that one. And I would love to get rid of this bishop, but I expect his bishop is always coming back here. Now, there's something about knight f2. Sometimes you have to go with your instinct. He wants to put his knight onto h4. So always look at your opponent's move and see what his idea is as well. I don't want him to put his knight here. So I'm thinking this pin is really annoying. Now, I've got a two-part plan I'm thinking, and it's going to involve queen d3 in most situations. My queen I like on d3 because I get out of the pin. And quite importantly, or maybe I should have gone knight f2 first. I kind of went against my instinct there because I've just realised he has now bishop f5. I should have gone knight f2 first. That was silly to put my queen here. I'm regretting this move now. Maybe the pin's not so bad, but my idea is to combine knight f2 with the queen coming here. Maybe also this knight can move, but in some cases I might have a tactic against the knight on g6 because of the what I call the Korchnoi pin on this pawn. So what my idea basically was is to go knight f2, and if the bishop moves, bishop h5, something like queen f5, and I can really embarrass that bishop. But I should have gone knight f2 first. I think I played this in the wrong move order. I mean, it's not so bad, but this move bishop f5 is a little bit annoying. Okay, but let's think. If he does go bishop there, which is maybe not a logical move, what do I do? Well, I can always defend that knight, but I don't really want to move this knight to such a passive square. I mean, I can always go knight d2 and then go queen f3, but it's a little bit negative. I want to, I want to play more positive kind of way here. I don't think, by the way, I know Aldo well, and my opponent, like I say, forget about his rating. It's not important. I would say it's about 2200. As you can see, he's playing very well. He's playing very well. Clearly, he's about 2200 elo. Even though he hasn't played any elo games, he's one of these guys you can tell a good player, and you can tell that by the way he's playing. He's playing good moves, and I know he won't be listening to the chat. He won't be following the stream because he's an honest guy. Other moves, and I have to say, sorry, I mean I am looking at the chat. Other moves I kind of like. Oh yeah, by the way. APE in Super Shape is saying if queen b3, one move to watch out for on these lines is always knight to a5, because if we dive into Aldo's brain for a second, Aldo should be thinking in a similar way to me. Which of my pieces are good? And if you look at my bishop here, this bishop is a good piece because it points towards his king. So a normal idea for Aldo would be to go knight a5. Even knight to a5 now is not ridiculous. Go knight to a5, try to get rid of that bishop. Okay, so Aldo's put his queen here and he's now covering this square. That's another reason why I should have gone knight to f2, because now if I go knight to f2, his bishop comes to f5, and this is a little bit annoying. My queen was a little bit premature. Okay, but let's see. So he's developed sensibly, he's played decent moves, and now if I move my knight to f2, his bishop will come here and my queen will have to retreat somewhere. So that's a good move. It's a good move from Aldo. I mean, he's covering this square in a very sensible way. So do I have any other ideas here? He's covering f4 in a very sensible way as well. So I might have to go knight f2 just to consolidate. I'm annoyed I didn't play that a move ago. Does anything to f4 help? Knight to f4. Does this kind of idea help? G6, h6, queen takes g6 would be a horrible mistake. Knight here, then he plays bishop to f5, and I have to move my queen. And I don't see how that's going to help me, because he'll play h6 next and he'll kick me away. So my last move was certainly a mistake. So I'm gonna play this one because I want to kick this bishop away anyway, and I just want to consolidate things over here. But after bishop f5, I'm probably going to have to retreat and admit my mistake, because other squares for my queen are bad. So I'm going to have to come back to d1 straight away. So I'm going to have to come back to this square immediately. Hello, Jackie the Swede, who is from Vienna. Hello, I've been to Vienna once. I played a tournament there, a beautiful city. I'd love to go back to Vienna again, an amazing, amazing place. Vienna, absolutely tremendous, with a lot of history as well. Okay, so you can see, we'll have a look at the game afterwards, of course, and I'll go through my thoughts, because I'm going to go through where I made mistakes. Now, this position, I would say, is roughly even, in my opinion. I mean, I've got one issue with this bishop, but my compensation is my pawn structure in the center is actually a bit better than my opponent's. So and if you've just joined in the stream and you're saying stupid things like, you know, who is my opponent, I did say at the start, I'm playing a friend. If you're a rating, what do we say, rating whore, can I say that? I just did. If you don't worry about the ratings, this is what people really think. I mean, you can clearly see my opponent is not 795, which is not even a rating. I'm playing a friend of mine, as I try to make clear. God, I'm going to lose a lot of rating points if I lose, though. And his real rating is about 2200 elo, I would say, from my judging of you know, how from what I've seen him play. He's only been playing chess for I don't know how long, but he's one of these late bloomers who's got a lot of potential to become very strong. You can tell a good chess player. He works hard, and yeah, he could be a very, very good chess player. Well, he is a good chess player anyway. He's in my opinion, 2200. Okay, so anyway, so what should I be thinking? I need to think of a plan rather than wambling on here. And this is the problem. Aldo probably can just do something sensible, like try to take over the open file. I need to think of a plan. Thank you for subscribing. Do I have to say the name now? Arrivto Zampano. Okay, so what's Aldo doing here? Okay, so he's rerouting. And the first thing you should always do when your opponent plays a move, look at the piece they just moved. Don't even think about your own moves. Try to work out what their plan is. And you can see he's trying to get his knight into e3. But I don't think that was necessarily the best plan. Because, I don't know. I mean, I thought his knight was actually pretty good there. And now, remember a plan I mentioned earlier? I can now try to aim for this one, and also my knight on c5 will be attacking his queen. So I'm going to stick with something I mentioned earlier, but do I have to watch out for knight a5? No, because I always have knight c5. This is okay. I've also, let's go back to the original plan of knight g5. I'm running out of time. But is knight g5 worth considering? Not really, because his bishop now guards here. That's getting a bit too carried away. Okay, the knight on f2 is not doing anything. Let's move a piece that's not doing anything to a better square. It's got to be an okay move. It's got to be. There can't be anything wrong with this move. It has to be a good move, because the knight on f2, even though it looked good on e4, it has much more purpose on this square. I attack a pawn, and maybe my knight can come into this square, annoying the queen and hitting here. So Aldo also admits that maybe his last move was not the best, and he comes back. So I think now, okay, my time is going down quite quickly here. I'm really thinking about just putting the knight on c5. That's a bit annoying for my opponent. Other ideas, you know, can I win this pawn? Is knight g? I mean, I'm transfixed to move my knight to g5, but I mean, knight g5 looks kind of natural now because then I'm threatening to win this pawn. Knight g5, h6. Do I have a tactic there? I'm constantly trying to find a tactic in this position. Constantly trying to find a tactic here. Okay, so knight g5, h6. Running out of time. I can't see it. So I think I'm going to flip this one in. I've got to play a little bit quicker now. A little bit quicker. I'm going to try and just improve my situation. How do I do that? So I'm looking at ways to get my piece to the better squares. Well, one simple way to improve my position may be to give this bishop another square, maybe to give this square, but also I'm thinking here, is my opponent's bishop better than my bishop? Because this piece has been quite annoying for me for a while. So I could go bishop d3, try to swap off. When you're offering an exchange, always think, is your bishop better than their bishop? And the other thing I could try, knight g5. This is, I'm really just, for some reason I want to get this in, but I can't get it to work. h6, and again, knight takes f7, rook takes f7. Any tactics? No. Now, if I go queen b3 in any positions, he has knight to a5. So another thing that might help my position is possibly b4, but then he's going to just play this move and he might have pressure on this file. So quite a lot of things to think about with not so much time. So how do we improve? Okay, so sometimes I need to go back. Knight g5, h6. Is there really no tactics there? No, I'm going to rule that one out. Process elimination, rule that one out. My time's going quicker. I need to think of other options. b4 here. And then my knight comes to what square? My knight's going to have to retreat somewhere, which I don't really want it to do. But has the move b4 helped? I think this might have helped me because I stopped knight a5 and I give myself an idea of queen b3. So maybe this is the right way to play. I think, you know. Let's go for it. Plural crooks. That sounds quite badly said the way you stated that. To be honest, prefer no. Okay, but I mean minor pieces, two minor pieces. Okay, the thing is, I had this idea. I could go knight g5. I could take on f7. If you're doing the classical, you know, point system. After I take on f7, so everyone calculate knight g5, take on f7. I would get a rook and a pawn for a knight and a bishop, but in the opening the knight and the bishop are much stronger than a rook and a pawn. Later on, the rook and pawn, only in the ending do they become stronger. I know that, plurocrats. I know you're not being serious there. Don't worry. Okay, right. So queen b3, natural move. Do I have to give up on my idea of getting my queen to h5? I think I have to. So queen b3 would be a natural move. Then knight g5 becomes a threat. So let's do it. Let's go queen b3 because now my opponent no longer has the knight here. My queen it was unrealistic to think I can ever get it to h5, even though that's a square I really want to get it to. So I'm going to go for this other plan now of trying to increase pressure. I found a weakness in my opponent's position. I'm trying to increase pressure. Now here, I have to go forwards. If I go back, my plan is pointless, but I was banking in this position on bishop d5. I'm not going to think too much. I mean, is this sack worth considering? Followed by knight here. It's intriguing, but I don't believe it because he has queen f8. I don't have enough pieces attacking. So I'm going to put my piece on this square. And this also leaves me the possibility now of my knight coming to g5. And Aldo found a very good move. He's come back and he's going to get rid of my good bishop. So that's an annoying move. I did not see that move. Now, my knight is very good on c5. It's a very, very good piece. But I don't want his bishop coming somewhere like c4. So I think rather than allowing to trade a knight for bishop, I have to either consider this sacrifice or go bishop e4 and get rid of the bishop. So I'm going to go for the most aggressive move first. Let's look at this. Okay, I'll have a look at that in the Guardian. Thank you for letting me know. So bishop takes there, rook takes, knight g5. How is this? How is that position? I'm very tempted to go for it now because I've got bishop takes f4 coming and his knight is now in a much more passive square. I think this sack instinctively is okay. I've got to go with my instinct. So knight here. Rook takes, knight g5. And what makes this sacrifice possible is that I've got bishop f4 opening up the f-file coming later on. So I always say go for the most aggressive line if you can, and I don't see a reason why, because at the worst case I will get this rook and pawn for knight and bishop, but I think I'm going to win another pawn and I'm going to have an attack because I have this very good diagonal. So I'm going to go for this. I'm going to go for this sack. Bishop takes f7. And the idea is to throw some things in. Thank you for the... I'm sorry you couldn't post the link there. Maybe I can post the link because you can't post links in the chat. I can't do it at the moment. Maybe I can after the game. Nice to hear that I've got something in the Guardian newspaper, which I didn't know about, but I will obviously check that out later on. But at the moment, a little bit short of time here. Thank you for posting the link, but we've got these things set up. They're called robots, basically, that look after the chat. They try to stop bad chat by having set things they don't allow in the chat. If someone's trying to sell Viagra pills, for example, whether or not I need them, no I don't, but okay, whether or not I need them, I don't want someone selling Viagra pills in the chat while I'm trying to talk about chess. That would not be cool. So that's why we have that in place. So I'm sorry you weren't able to do that, Bish Hill. Okay, I will check it out anyway, Tango Charlie. So my idea here, obviously my main threat is to come zooming down here and to zomp this one, but my secondary threat is to take on f4, and I'm going to have 2 pawns for the piece. So I'm probably going to be material up. This knight here is one lovely piece. That could win the Grand National, that little baby. That could win the Grand National because it's never going to be budged. My opponent can never move that away, and it's nicely stabilized. So I love that piece. So I'm liking the situation here at the moment. And with bishop f4 to come, I'm going to increase the pressure on f7. So this is a little bit tricky for Aldo to defend. I don't want to pull the trigger on knight takes f7 immediately because my queen is now so secure. So this b4 move seemed to be quite important because otherwise at some point my opponent could go knight a5. Now again, time is an issue. So the only thing is, if I go bishop f4, Aldo will play f6, but h6, but then I can take here. My rook is then released. Look, it's so natural here. I have a rule: if you're attacking and you can't have a way to break through with your developed pieces, so my knights and my queen are the only attacking pieces, I don't want to pull the trigger on knight takes f7. You've got to look for ways to get your reinforcements in. My reinforcements are these 3 guys here, so naturally I'm going to bring in undeveloped piece and try to get in my reinforcements. Oh, I see Bjorn is in the chat. Hello mate. Hello Bjorn. If you want to check out some more lessons I do, go to my YouTube channel or subscribe to this channel. A great way to support me is by subscribing to this channel. You can look at all the videos in the archive. I don't put all those videos on YouTube. I only put the occasional video on YouTube, the occasional edited video. And I'm doing lessons with Bjorn. I was going to ask you, Bjorn, I was busy last week, but Bjorn, do you have... okay, in the meantime, I'm going to take here because I'm pinning that one. Bjorn, do you have any time this week to do a lesson? I was thinking, I know it's a stupid time, but one time would be great for me. It'd be 10 a.m. on Thursday for 2 hours. If you are free on Thursday morning, Bjorn, I'll be streaming then. I'm going to be streaming with Fiona. Yay, it's been ages. I got a message off Fiona yesterday. I'm going to be streaming with Fiona on Friday, 12 o'clock until 2 o'clock. So that'll be a Friday chill out stream. I'm looking forward to that one. In the meantime, I've got all this pressure against the rook. My opponent has blocked the f-file. So the first thing I'm thinking, do I have a crash bang? Going back to what I just said, look at my developed pieces. Do I have an immediate breakthrough? If not, bring in the reinforcements. So my first thought, bring in the one piece that's not doing anything and increase the pressure on that file. So this is my first thought. But then what am I doing after h6? Well, I could then No, I can't take there. Can I take there then? Take there. I can take there. Bishop takes, queen takes here. Rook f1 is such a natural move. I don't pull the trigger. The threat is stronger than the execution. I bring my last piece into the attack. Do I have to watch out for knight takes here? Got to watch out for a counter blow. I don't think so. I'm going to play rook here. I'm pretty confident this is the best move. So knight takes d4. Pawn takes, knight takes. I can just go rook takes. This to me looks incredibly strong because now every single white piece has a purpose. Every white piece is having a little bit of a party. I could have gone g4 like a boss. I like that one. I like that one. I could have gone g4, but I prefer to get all my pieces working in a position like this, because this is more of a tactical position where my pieces should be doing the job. Okay, so now if I take here, that's a great defensive move from Aldo, and I'm going to have to shut up and think a bit quicker now, because he's finding ways to defend. Now, knight takes f7, bishop takes, attacking my queen, which is annoying. I could then move my queen to c2, but it's not totally over. g4 now becomes a possibility. Or do I try to move my queen in? I've got lots of ideas. Does my queen come to a more aggressive square? Trying to threaten, then rook takes here, bishop takes, or my queen coming in looks natural. Do I have knight here? It's so complicated, no time, which is a bummer. This knight not doing much. Do I try to get that knight to a better square? g4 might be the move to play now, because I've lined up everything else. Now if he goes here, take here, g4 looks good because the intention is, oh, he's got knight d6. Okay, I have to play it. God, okay, can't believe how quickly the time is going. Time is going so quick here. This is the problem when you're commentating, but this now looks good because I want to break through. And if h6, I think I have rook takes f5, I think, but I'm not sure. The time situation has really okay, so he's going here. Now this is a lovely pin. Now I want to bring my queen in. This is my first fault. I've got to move quick, clearly. Okay, I'm going to have to move quick. The queen has to come in. And I'm going to not be able to commentate quite as much now. It's quite a pressurized position, this one. It's amazing how quickly the time goes in life, isn't it? It just walks away. I should be doing very well here, but with 25 seconds, I'm going to have to try and I mean, my opponent's playing very good defensively. You can see he's a good player. I've got this tactic in, but what is this position now like? If h6, for example, I can take here, and then knight takes, then do I have any way to logically increase the pressure? God, I wish I had more time. That's one thing. One thing is clear. I wish I had more time. h6, I don't know if it's good enough. Queen takes d6, pawn takes here. h6 is something that scares me because I don't want to retreat my knight. h6, I have to maybe take here. Knight takes, I still have some pressure, but how do I increase the pressure? h4, h5, trying to get rid of that bishop. That'd be a very blitzy thing to do. Rook a7 was a really good defensive move. It was such a good defensive move. So h6, what am I playing after h6? This is the thing. Queen takes here, pawn takes here. Do I have a good move there? No, I don't want to break the pin. Is out. Okay, h6 I have to take here with a knight, and I have to gain some material. Then knight takes, I should have a good move there. Maybe h4, h5 is good because this pin is so tough on the position. If h6, you've got to do some basic calculations. If I take on d6, Aldo takes on this square, threatening my rook, and then that's the problem, because if I take here, it'll take my rook. And if h6, queen takes here, rook takes here, he has bishop takes f7. And let's have a look at that. So takes on d6, h6 takes on d6, takes here, Now he has to go bishop takes f7. Do I have a winning idea there? If not, I'm a piece down. My pieces are very good, but his rook is a great defender. No, so I have to take on f7. I have to go for this one. I'm just using process of elimination. I have to take on this one. And the idea is if he goes bishop takes, I win the knight. And here I want to go h4, h5, trying to get the bishop away from this defender. Unless I have a better move. Do I have a better move here? My queen is going to remain on this square. He can't get out of the pin, so h4 looks good. And I'm trying to just think, okay, I want to get rid of a piece that's guarding this square, because then I have rook takes f7. So by playing h4, and obviously I won't be able to concentrate quite as much on the chat now, I'm trying to go h5, and then if his bishop goes to, if his bishop can't maintain the knight on f7, I will win that piece on f7. My queen, if he tries to kick my queen away, something like knight e7, okay, so he's gone on the super defensive, and he's now given this extra protection, and well, without thinking, I'm going to play this move anyway because it will force his bishop to a worse square. Where does he move his bishop? If he goes to h7, he might have some tactical trouble. But how do I finish this? Maybe getting a rook here is now natural. Rook here, rook here. But do I have something stronger? It feels like I should. But I can't see it. So I'm going to go for rook here. Changing plans, trying to come in now on the back rank, threatening this big check here. But this is getting a little bit tense now. Little bit tense. Was driving and texting, which I won't recommend it to anyone. Yay Bjorn, I'll try to get in contact with you after this game as well. You don't have to text me. Are you watching this on your phone while you're driving? What a lunatic, man. Let me answer you after this game because this is getting quite intense. So I think he has to move his knight. He has to go knight here to stop this one. Do I have a win there? Knight here. Where is the win? There's got to be a win. It's got to be a win now, surely. But where is it? Where is the win? Okay, so knight here. Where is the win? I'm even up material here. My opponent really... okay, he won't be available before Friday. All right, yay Bjorn. Okay, mate. I'll see if we can do. Okay, good luck with the escape room. Yay Bjorn. I'm going to come over and visit one day. Okay, so knight c6. This is the only defense I can see. I can't see any other way because he's got to control this square. I mean, surely king there, queen d6 is mating. So knight c6. How do I win in this very aggressive position if he plays the knight here? So what is, it must be a win there. I can't see it at the moment, which is quite frustrating. So I'm just going to gain a bit of time. I'm going to go here with the idea of trying to gain. Okay, he's got my game plan. I'm just gaining a bit of time on the clock, but you've got to use game plan. Repeating the position shows who is boss. Now, after knight here, I want to get rid of this knight. I've got 30 seconds now to find a win. Actually, rook e6, threatening the knight. That looks very good. Rook e6. And then if rook here, I even have knight takes a6. Is there anything better? I want to get this knight involved, but I can't see a good square. Knight here, rook takes. Can't see it. Rook e6. Let's bring the rook to a more active square. If he goes knight d8, then I have rook to e8 checkmate. I'm trying to really, all of Aldo's pieces are really huddled together. I can't play queen takes c6 because his queen still covers this square, but this maybe overloads Aldo's pieces. If rook c7, I'm banking on knight takes a6 there. And if queen takes a6, rook e8 checkmate. So this looks very strong. We're going to go over this game afterwards, which I think some of you will find very useful, to work out, you know, maybe where we both went wrong, where we both could include it, we could improve, and maybe I'll give you some simple tips. If you're, you know, if you're not a grandmaster, I'll try to give you some simple tips which will help you for the future. Okay, so we're coming in, and now what is happening after Rook c7, I think. Okay, so he has gone back. I didn't see that move. This surely must be good. But let's not... I think just queen b3 is simple. Do I have something better than the simple move? There should be something good. Rook c6, he takes it. Oh, God, time. Whoa! I didn't even see my clock there. God, that was dodgy. Okay, right. I've got to keep a better eye on the clock here, people. Because that was very slow. But I've got so many frets there. I totally forgot about the time there. 10 seconds. Oh, no. I've got so many frets here. Look at my pieces. My pieces are killing it. Rook takes a6. Must be a threat of some sort here. Okay, right. And now, do I just take on... Okay, 9 seconds. Okay, I don't know if I've got anything better. Maybe I had something better there. But with 9 seconds, I'm just going to blooming well move. Now I have 3 pawns. So this is... and I still have this almighty pin. This pin is like the pin to break all pins. It is the monster pin. The monster pin. And now Aldo's short of time as well. Things are really heating up now. So does he swap rooks or does he keep it on? Okay, my next move is easy. This knight, very tricky situation. Maybe he can try to get some counterplay here. You know, knight c6 would be a way to try. Then I probably kind of cover his threats and I move my king to f2 to control his queen. So the only move I'm thinking of from my opponent, knight, okay, so he's gone here. He's put himself in a bit of dilemma because now, boom, Aldo, I'm afraid, my friend, that move may well be a killer because your queen can no longer maintain the knight on f7 and I'm coming in with a big, big boom. Whew, that got a bit intense. Time to chill now, Mr. Williams. Oh, have a sip of water there, sir. Have a sip of water there, sir. And, well, that was a fun game, I have to say. That was an intense King's Gambit, that one. I mean, whoa, that was actually, you know, at the end there. I mean, what the hell was going on there? Boom! Boom! It was a boom at the end. And, yes, okay, well, what we're going to do now, I think we'll actually look at that game with the help of a computer. Now, if you guys want to improve at your own chess, a couple of things I recommend you do and don't do. Be very careful when you use a computer because I know so many players who get so addicted to using a computer that they don't even think for themselves. I would say don't even use a computer, you know, but sometimes it can help you, you know, if you just to work out certain things and maybe help you think in a better way another time. Tango Charlie, thank you for, was that a shout out? It was indeed. Thanks, Tango. Cheers, mate. And Aldo is now in the chat, so hello to Aldo in the chat. By the way, I should also say, if you do want to support this stream, the simplest way to do it is to subscribe to this channel. It's free to do so with Amazon Prime, but you can't subscribe to other channels if you subscribe to mine. Otherwise, it's $5 a month. It means I can do more of this. You know, if I can build up enough subscribers, I can try to stream every day. So that's one way to help if you really want to help and support. Thanks to the game, Aldo. Let's have a look at the game, mate. Let's have a look at the game and see what happens. So we're now going to have a look. So let me just work out again. How do we do this? Computer analysis. So I'm just going to change the board now. And we're going to do self-analysis. Let me just get rid of this board. Because it was actually one of the most interesting games I've had in the long play thing. So let's have a look and let's see what the computer says. The computer probably says that we're both complete and utter idiots and that we need to improve our chess. But also let's okay, I'm going to get the assessment from the computer up so you guys can see it as well. So let's just whack up. This is one of the great features with chess.com is, well, that's when when you've played a game, you can have a look at the game with a computer afterwards in a very simple thing. I just did that there in a couple of seconds. It's very, very easy to do. You just put it on the computer and that can help you, but be very careful, like I say, using a computer. Use it as a tool to help you, but don't use it to lead you. I mean, what's that famous saying? You know, basically, the famous saying, I think, I don't know, I probably say it's wrong, but you know, you've got to use your own mind and use like computers and other things as a tool, but really, you know, don't let them lead or charge your life. Okay, so let's have a look. So it was the Albion counter. Now, one line, the point of this gambit, the From's gambit, and I really do like playing f4. I've had some great results with it, but if I take on e5 here, I think Aldo, but you've only just started playing seriously, is that right, in the last 5-10 years? But I know you've been playing for a long time, Aldo, but still, you play very well there. Now, the point of this gambit is that black now plays d6, and you have to be very careful here. And this gambit puts a lot of people off playing the Froms. But I mean, I don't mind playing against this. You take on d6, and after you take on d6, let me make that a bit smaller. It looks a bit ugly. Don't like ugly things. Well, I do. I mean, you know, look in the mirror every day. And now the point is, bishop takes d6, and black has a threat here. So, you know, if you're a beginner, knight to c3 would be really, 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 really embarrassing, because queen to h4 is, and this is something I show school kids when I used to teach. Anyway, I don't do that anymore. And now this is quite an interesting moment. This shows whether you're a flamboyant flash Harry or whether you're a grinder. And here, queen takes g3 is the flash Harry way to finish. And of course, easy to see this is checkmate. But the line I always played here was knight to f3, and I actually beat England #1 David Howell once in this variation with white. David played g5, the main line. David is trying to play g4 and queen h4, checkmate again. Fascinating opening this. I played d4. David now played g4, and now the move I really like playing here was knight to g5, and I played this against David, and this is quite like a king's gambit. And if you want to learn the From's gambit, this is one way as white you can get a lot of action. And the knight can now sacrifice itself on this square in a lot of variations. It's quite a weird line. The main move to also stop here is f5, and now I had e4, and I'm pretty sure this is the position I had against David Howe, and this is fascinating. h6 traps the knight, but e5 is one dangerous move, or you can often just sack the knight. You know, you can even go knight to h3, pawn takes, and get the queen in. Absolute mayhem. So that is the From's gambit. If you want to play this as white, you can have, I recommend playing that last line. But if you do play the king's gambit, this is also a lot of fun to play. Now, I honestly do believe one of the best lines that black can play against the king's gambit is this counter gambit with d5. And I don't like playing against this, as Aldo has said in the chat. Now, you have to take on d5. If you take on e5, queen h4 check is winning already. As you can see, look at the computer's assessment for black, because black is going to win your rook in most lines, or checkmate you probably. So you have to take on d5. The point of black's play is to take on f4. This check is now a threat, so you should probably stop that. And the main move here is now knight to f6, and black aims to take this one back with a knight. Now, my recommendation here would be knight to c3, knight takes here, then bishop c4. And I've covered this line in a DVD. Now, I don't trust the computer so much, because the deeper the computer goes, the more the computer's assessment will change here. But this I've done a DVD for chess base on this variation. Maybe I'll do a free YouTube video. Bishop d6, couldn't remember the theory, to be honest. But I think what I play is very natural. Defend the pawn, c6, knight c3, get ready to take here with a knight, knight to e7, and now, well, I could have castled here. Maybe castling's the main move in this position, so I don't give black a tempo. Maybe I should castle, but I was worried about castling that my opponent would take here, and then after knight takes d5, knight takes d5, bishop takes here, go check here. This is what I was worried about when, he has this move. But maybe as the computer, see, this is when the computer's good. The computer in lines can see a little bit further than a human. So what I'm doing here, I'm just looking at a variation that I wanted to play, but I didn't have I didn't have enough calculation ability. And now I'm putting it on the computer, and the computer is going to tell me if it's playable, because it can obviously calculate better than a human. It doesn't have the good instincts of a human. You need a human to lead the computer when you're learning. But this kind of thing, the computer is indicating, is actually going to be maybe a little bit better for white after takes, queen takes, king h1. And maybe it is, because when I take this one, I have good development, my dark square bishop, and I have an open here, open f-file. So, okay, that's interesting. So I know for future, if I get that again, I should castle. Okay, but let's see. The game I took here, my opponent now developed and took, Aldo, should I say. We both castled. This is all very normal. Now, I wanted to play knight g5, but I just don't think it works. I think h6 stops everything. So I need to... maybe d4 is best. Knight to e4 was interesting. Now, bishop c7 is one of the top, well, the top computer move. Aldo playing very well. d4. All these moves look very normal, and I think I assessed this right. I did say I thought this was about even around here. Drawmeister saying, can you remember a past game? I can remember what I had for breakfast. I can't remember what I had for breakfast. Is that a key ability? Quite interesting. You know, when you're playing tournaments, I mean, there's some famous stories of the best chess players remembering games from years ago and being able to show them on the board. I mean, I played 3 games over the weekend. I basically played 3 games of competitive chess 8 years ago. Could I remember them? Here now? I'm struggling at the moment to recall them, but I would like to think I can remember and show you all the 3 games from 10 days ago that I played, move perfectly, so about 80 moves. I'm just trying to think of the first game though, which I won very quickly, and it's the one that was in the newspaper the other day. I'm just trying to. I'm sorry, it's a little challenge for me. I have to now remember it. You know, when you do this, I'd like to think I could. But I'm certainly not as good as other players. Is it a key thing? It's not a key ability. It's something you get better at. It's just visualization. In chess, if you want to become a better player, you have to become better at visualizing things. So when you're analyzing, don't move the pieces. Don't play too much blitz chess. I don't care what people say. I don't think blitz is good for visualization, because you play moves without properly visualizing the consequences of them. Try to do puzzles. Puzzles are great for visualization. There's loads of little things you can do to improve your visualizations, things which I've talked about in courses you can buy, the Master Method 1 and 2. I'm going to try to, after this game, think if I can remember one of those games actually from the weekend, because it's quite annoying that I now can't. I know I won in 16 moves. Oh yes, I can remember it. Good, I can remember the game. It's just come back to me. But also, I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. I can't remember what I did last week. But when it comes to chess, I'm much better at memorizing things because I've practiced it. It's something you should all try. Okay, so now bishop g4 looks kind of normal. Thank you for subscribing. Who was that who subscribed? The Mighty Dada. Thank you so much there. That's very kind of you. And again, if you want to support the channel, do subscribe. Very, very kind of you to do that. Cheers. Okay, so now this is where c3 is forced. Knight g6. And here I'm annoyed I did not play knight to this square. The computer's not giving knight to f2. What it is, it says it's about even. This is the move I should have played, because now Aldo has a tricky decision. Does he go to h5 or f5? Now if he goes to h5, the kind of position I was looking for is queen d3, and then maybe bringing my queen in with some tactics. And even though the computer says this is about even, it's now changed its mind. I quite like white in this kind of position. I would take white here, even though the computer thinks it's about even. Now, where did Aldo go wrong? Let's go forward. So, I was worried about just bishop f5 here. But, okay. The other idea, knight a5. Trying to get rid of this bishop's good. Queen d7 is okay. Knight f2. Okay, I'm just going to move a bit quicker. And now I think this is where Aldo started to go a bit wrong. I think he should start using the rooks here. This is what I'd instinctively think. Put a rook on the open file. Just simple moves are often the best. I would not go with the computer's idea of putting this rook there. I don't want to weaken this. I'd probably just go here, I think. And I would try... Maybe I can even think about some sacrifices of rook e3. I would try to just play simply. You know, rook e7, rook e8, double on the open file. But it's still very unclear, as the computer is saying. So the game continued. Knight g e7. Now this move to me, it looked like a mistake, and it is a bit of a mistake. It's a bit too passive. I don't think the knight is ever going to get into e3. And your knight was good on g6, defending your main pawn on f4. This was the start of problems. Backwards knight move, a little bit negative here. A little bit negative. So knight d3, and now I can take initiative. I attack that pawn. It has to be defended. And now I take the initiative. Now here, I think again, if I was black, I would just get rid of this knight, even if there's some tactical issues. I mean, I'd really want to play b6. Maybe I have bishop a6, but I think this knight is such a good piece. Whenever you have a piece in your part of the board, as black has one piece in his part of the board, which is the knight on c5, try to get rid of that knight. Try to get rid of that knight. So I would have played b6, whether it's good or bad here. a6 again, I think a little bit passive, because I wasn't really threatening b5. The main idea of putting my pawn here is that now I can go queen b3, and knight to a5 is not an issue because my pawn guards that square. And we can see that the pressure's increasing on this move here, this square here. And after b5, bishop here, I think Aldo, in all fairness, I mean, his moves look very logical. This move I actually missed. I missed knight e7, and this is a key moment. If I don't go for bishop f7, which the computer is not even recommending. Look, the computer does not give my... Oh, it only does now. It's only recommending it now. Will it improve? It's not recommended. It's very interesting to see the computer's assessment. See, if you're only following what the computer said, its top 3 moves does not include bishop takes f7. So what is wrong with it? Let's find out. Bishop takes f7 looked very natural, followed up by knight here, because I'm going to win this pawn. I have attack here. So Aldo plays the computer's top choice, and now of course bishop takes f4. And it's funny that here the computer is still changing. Now I thought if h6 here, the move that I wanted to play, and again the computer, okay, h6 must have been played. Had Aldo play h6, this is actually a really open game now. And yeah, of course Aldo should have done this one. Actually, maybe, you know, his whole game plan would have been all right. Pizza Racer, thank you for subscribing. Very kind of you. Cheers. And thank you for supporting the channel. I actually hallucinated a little bit here. This was the move that I was worried about. I thought I could take on c7 and then take on f7, but I can't. So it looks to me like after I have to take here, and now Aldo has full compensation, because I'd say his 2 pieces, especially with the bishop coming in somewhere like this and the knight coming in here, look how great his pieces become, are very good. And my pawns are quite stagnant. They're not doing anything. They're never going to move. So I think h6, actually, Aldo would have taken maybe control of the game. So, but the thing is, the computer says these things. In a practical game, the person attacking always has the initiative. Even if the computer says it doesn't work, it's not so important. Humans forget this. If you have the initiative, it helps you. You're the one coming at your opponent. Okay, so the game did continue with bishop f4, and now this must be very bad for Aldo. Rook takes, big threat here, knight here looks normal. I bring in another piece to the attack. Good defensive move. Do I have a stronger way to play now? I was getting very short of time. I was thinking about that move, knight to e4, to try to bring this knight either to d6 or to this square. Now, what was wrong with g4? So it shows us we weren't... Oh, knight to e3, a move we must have both missed. And it's very hard to defend, Aldo. Much easier for me to play because I just keep coming at you. Now, this is very interesting because another bit of advice we can all take home here. Let's say we're in Aldo's position, and I don't think it's a very pleasant position to be in. You're defending the best way to defend, and so many amateur players do not do this. They don't do this. The best way to defend is active defense. If you can defend actively, then defend actively. And I totally missed that Aldo has a queen takes g4, because after the next move, knight d6, this is passive defense. You're going backwards and it's a bit negative. Always look at ways you can go towards your opponent. And knight e3 must have been overlooked by both me and Aldo. Has the tactical idea that if rook takes f7, the move I want to play, then queen takes g4 is a killer, because queen to g2, a move that I missed. I forgot that queen g2 is going to be checkmate. So if I can't take here with a rook, this is very, very unclear. Okay, I mean, it says it's about even if I go rook f3, but now Aldo would have got his knight and blocked my queen, and this would clearly have improved Aldo's chances. So again, it's a good little lesson. Passive defense, try to avoid it unless you unless you have to. And now I just play good moves. My queen comes in, creating a threat. h6 only move. Did I play the computer's top choice? Yes. Knight takes f7. Knight takes f7 forced, otherwise I win that knight. And I play again Harry, the computer's top move, h4. And we're both short of time here, so we're both playing probably not correct. Knight d8 here, rook, bishop here, and was there a quicker win around here? Well, I play the top move, rook e1, trying to come in with a checkmate. This goes back to another rule that I mentioned. When you're attacking, look at your pieces which are active. My queen is active, both my rooks are active, and even my knight is active. So all my pieces are active. But if you can't have a crash bang wallop, if you don't have a check that is a good check, if you don't have a capture which is a good capture, you should look for ways to create threats. It's like a pyramid thing. When you're looking at the top of the pyramid, look for checks. If you have a good check, go for the good check. Below that, if there's a good capture, because these are more forcing, they will force the issue. Below that, if you can create a threat, then you should create a threat. And rook e1 creates a threat, so it's a very logical move to see. It's a pity that queen takes d8 check doesn't work, by the way. I've just noticed this one. 50-50, knight takes d8, rook there, checkmate. But of course you always assume, this is another mistake that players don't do, that your opponent's going to play the best move. And of course Aldo would have taken the queen, and then I'm just losing. So rook e1, knight c6. We repeated here because I wasn't sure what to do. And now this rook e6 looks very natural. I bring a piece in, keep the pressure on. Aldo again found the best defensive move. So you can see Aldo did not play badly. Knight e7, but this position now I think is a little bit too tricky. I keep the pin on the knight, this is key. And queen e8. Did I have a better way to win here? Well, the computer just says move the rook back. But that's very hard to see with no time. So I just took the pawn. This must be also good for me. Oh no, the computer says that black is better here, or a draw. Unbelievable. This is just one of those positions where I thought that this should be, again, this is where the computer can, I hate analysing with computers too much, because I thought this must be winning. I've got a third pawn, but the computer is saying that black is better here. Did anyone expect that? That's why, you know, these hard defenses to see. But in a human, how many humans would see this with no time? I can't believe the computer thinks black's better. So what is it? Rook takes here. And now, where's the move that... I mean, I was worried about a knight move with the queen coming down. And the computer now says, after knight c8, black is better? I don't believe that. Do I believe that? And it thinks black's a lot better. Okay, now it says it's a draw. Because that knight is coming here and it's defending its brother. Unbelievable defensive move, that one. I mean, the way that chess has changed over the last 50 years, it's quite funny because chess has actually reflected society's advances with technology. It's very strange. Even the way chess is played between human beings, has reflected, civilization's advances in all sorts of technology. Because what computers have brought to the chess world, which we did not have 50 years ago, is defensive measures. Computers can defend in unbelievable ways, as that knight c8 move demonstrates. And humans who train with computers, like I'm sure all the top players, Magnus, everyone trains with computers. What they have learnt to do by understanding the way computers think, and by thinking knight e8, knight c8, and trying to remember those patterns, they have become better defenders themselves. And they've realized that the way humans used to evaluate a position 50 years ago is actually maybe not correct, because humans used to be over optimistic because they didn't give their opponents as good defensive chances. But now computers have said, hey, you can evaluate these positions a bit different because there's always hidden resources. And this is one typical computer move which demonstrates the advancements and how computers have changed humans at top level playing chess. I also think, up to 2600 level, that is a very high level. This shouldn't affect most players, because how many players are going to find a move like this? And it is a nice idea. You put the knight on d6, you defend your knight here, but unbelievable defense. I have to say, I never would have guessed that one. Yeah, Aldo, how did you not see that? Such an easy move to see, Aldo. You patzer, Aldo. I mean, unbelievable defense. The knight comes here. The knight defends. Even though I have 3 pawns and I'm 2 points up, Aldo's pieces suddenly work very, very well. Pizza Racer, thank you for subscribing. And thank you also for giving the shout out there. Very kind of you, Pizza Racer. Audius Huxley. It's funny, Huxley, who basically, Huxley, great author. The Doors, the band, The Doors, based their band on one of his first books, The Doors of Perception. Audius Huxley, who also did a lot of things in the drugs area, should we say, but in basically human psyche. Was born and lived in the small village in England I live in, which he's probably the most famous person to come here. Brave New World. I have, and that's another thing. Brave New World, great book. And his actual grave, which is quite well hidden, is very near to me as well, in a very beautiful graveyard. It's really, it's nice anyway. So all those Audius Huxley fans out there, I've got a photo of it. I'll try to, which I see. But anyway, and it's weird because after it shows you how one move, like King to f8, and of course Aldo is very short a time, just changes things in chess. Knight c7, and I'm either going to win the queen or going to checkmate. And it basically does. I mean, chess is the only game I can think of, or sport, in the whole world. I can't think of another game like backgammon, poker, golf, which people have tried to make it, where you make one mistake and you can lose the whole tournament. You can literally lose your situation. Maybe golf. Maybe in golf you can play one bad stroke and that puts you out of contention, but often you can fight back from that. In chess, you make one little error at the top standard and all your chances are gone. So it's a very unforgiving thing. Snooker, you can make one bad shot in snooker, you might get another chance. Use another frame. There's so many frames. I think it's different. You can lose a frame, there's still great chances. In chess, especially open tournaments, you need to pretty much, to get a prize, win every game. Russian roulette. I haven't played that for a while, Clagnuts, so I'm not sure about that one. Anyway, there we go. So that's just my analysis of that game.